Moin and welcome to another Moin-Stamps video. If you start a new game, big and efficient production layouts with trade unions are pretty much useless. It just doesn't make sense to put down a layout with 58 schnapps distilleries. And because of the lack of ships and all fertilities, you need to expand on other islands pretty quickly. And there is another point. In the early game, you don't have access to the commuter pier. So on every new island you need to set up at least a small village so you have enough workforce. All those factors yell for early game stamps, which make it easier for you to progress faster. I put those stamps together for you and you will get 29 new stamps for the old world for speeding up the early game until you have reached the artisans. Let me focus on construction material first. At the very beginning, nothing is more important than timber. The first lumberjacks and sawmills you want to place near by the trading post. Each new warehouse costs 10 timber, and right at the beginning you rather spending those 10 timber for residences. But later you have to enlarge your timber production, so I have 2 more timber stamps for you. One with an extra warehouse and one with a trade union, if you have items which affect the production. The brick production is the second very important production. This production I put in a specific size on purpose. Clay deposits are not movable without the research institute. So I adapted the production size to my city layouts. In that way you can build your city perfectly around those brick productions if it's necessary. For sales I made 2 stamps, one with the silo and one without. And at this point a little side note. For all production chains with animal farms, I created 2 stamps. The silo is available pretty quickly, but electricity, fertilizer and the most items are not. Since the silo increases the productivity of the animal farm by 100%, in those stamps are less animal farms or more follow-up productions, so the chain runs perfectly again. Also the steel beam and cannon productions I set up together with a charcoal kiln. Only the iron mine needs to be built separately, of course. As soon as you have access to the coal mine, you can use the stamps without the charcoal kiln. For building up settlements and cities I use 2 different kinds of stamps. For the bigger cities I plan to expand quickly, I like to use my infinite city stamps, which I presented recently in a video. Those stamps are already uploaded in my Dropbox. You can find the link to my Dropbox in the description below. But on other islands, I just need smaller villages because of the fertilities or resources. In order to get those resources, I need the right workforce, mostly farmers and workers. So I created autarky stamps for those population tiers. My farmer stamps has 60 residences and the production chains for their needs are already included. So the required schnapps and work clothes is provided automatically, at least if the island has the fertility for potatoes. The only thing you still need to do is placing 1 fishery per stamp and the farmers will have all they need. The worker stamp also has 60 residences and includes the required production chains for work clothes, sausages, soap and schnapps. On top you need to place 2 fisheries per stamp. If you want to provide bread or beer, you need specific fertilities for grain and hops. If the island provides grain, you can add the bread module to the worker stamp. And if you have both grain and hops, you can also add the beer module if you want. And the best thing about those stamps is you can combine 2 of those if you need even more workforce. Both stamps then use the same public services. On the islands with bigger cities, I use production chain stamps. Those stamps include the required productions in the right number, so the productions within the chain work efficiently together, unless you modify the productivities with items or other kinds of boosts. Those stamps don't include warehouses and trade unions, because 1 warehouse per production chain would just be too much. Those buildings I place in between if I need it. So I created production chain stamps for work clothes, schnapps, sausages, soap and bread. In those stamps I only took the silos into account. Electricity, fertilizer and tractor barns are unlocked much later in the game. Keep in mind that the silo increases the productivity of animal farms by 100%. So you need less animal farms or more following productions per chain. Because of that I created 2 different stamps for such chains, one with and one without silo. Let's jump to the beer production. Here you need 2 different kinds of fertilities and a lot of workforce. That's why I divided the chain into 3 separate stamps. The hops production, the grain production and the beer production. You can place them separately on different islands if necessary or put them all together if it's possible. And same with the canned food. Red peppers is a rare fertility and the industry needs a lot of artisan workforce. So I separated the farms and the industry for the same reason of flexibility. If you reach 250 artisans, the sewing machines will be unlocked together with the coal mine. So in this production chain, I left the charcoal production out. Mines you need to place separately. But of course, you can always place needed charcoal kiln stamps if no coal mine is available. And if you have access to the new world and you have furs on your island, there is a fur coat stamp as well. Even though you need 200 artisans for the fur dealer to work, I did not separate it, because the chain is just too small. If you want to separate the production, just delete the fur dealer and place one per stamp on the island with the artisans. And one more thing about the stamps with wooded area around. The roads around the stamps show the required space. Everything outside can be used for other buildings. In the end, an additional tip. Every stamp requires a lot of construction materials. Especially at the beginning, these materials are rare. So I would suggest to place those stamps in blueprint mode if you don't have enough to build all at once. In that way you can decide which buildings to build first. Those 29 stamps are created to help you out in the first hours of the game. Later you will probably reorganize and centralize your productions. For that state, my community and me created lots of very efficient production layouts already. You can download all the new and old stamps from my Dropbox for free. You will find the link in the description below. If you want to support my channel with a donation, you can find the needed informations in the channel description. And now there are only two things left to say. Have a nice day and have fun stamping your way.